Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie, Esther here, and I want to show you a couple things. First of all, look at this balloon. Look at this sewer. It's basically Pennywise confirmed, right? Not so fast. So first let's start with the balloon. A few people sent me this image of this balloon and it's supposed to be a model from Dead by Daylight. But if you look up at the top here, it says package is game, weapons, prototype, flotation balloon, mesh, creepy balloon, asset. So if you search for creepy balloon Fortnite, you see that this model is actually from Fortnite when they had the balloons coming out of the sewers in Fortnite. This doesn't have anything to do with Dead by Daylight. This isn't a model from Dead by Daylight. It's from Fortnite. Having said that, can we just remember that for the 3rd anniversary of Dead by Daylight, we already had balloons in the game hanging from the generators and the hooks? So it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that balloons could already exist in Dead by Daylight. And even if this were a model from Dead by Daylight, it wouldn't mean anything because we already had balloons in the game before, right? So this sewer thing, I think I am kind of largely responsible for it coming out. I'm not entirely sure. But the other day, somebody sent me this model rendering of this environmental tile in Dead by Daylight in the swamp called The Villages. And I wasn't really familiar with this other than I had seen it in the art book of Dead by Daylight. So I asked my friend Necrocrafts to look into it and see if they could find out anything about this map tile. He made a video on it, and then he wound up finding a lot more information about some of the stuff in the swamp files for tiles in the map, which included this sewer rendering as an asset, and also the blood tree, I believe it's called, and this gigantic willow that you could run around and stuff. So after Necrocrafts published his video, and we all went, "Oh my God, sewer! What does it mean?" I came to learn that during the 1st anniversary dev stream of Dead by Daylight back in 2017, they had this very extensive, long 3.5-hour stream. I never saw this whole thing because that was during the time when my son was quite ill and hospitalized, and I had never just taken the time to watch the 3.5 hours of the anniversary stream. But at the very end, they showed what they were working on for swamp assets, and this sewer was covered, as well as the blood tree, as well as the swamp villages. And then they showed what we have since come to know as the Grim Pantry map.
So we have a little video of, it was actually an update from the, what is it, sometime last year. So as far as anniversaries go, we're going to give you a little sneak peek into what we were doing sometime last year. You can go ahead and roll it. You know, sometimes we come up with ideas, we model them, we implement them in the game, but they don't make it into the final version.
Like this. My idea was like, oh, maybe we could have like sewers and stuff and connecting to the swamp.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that they had been working on those assets for over a year. Now remember that this dev stream took place on June 15th, 2017, I believe. And then if you look at the trailers for the first I think the first trailer came out in March of 2017, and then the movie didn't even come out until the fall. And they mentioned that they had been working on these assets for a year before they showed them to us. So to think that they were somehow working on this sewer specifically with Pennywise in mind doesn't make a lot of sense. I realize that there was a 1990s miniseries of It with Pennywise in it, but I don't think it was really on anybody's radar when they would have been working on this swamp asset. So to tie in this sewer to Pennywise doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't fit the timeline. Now, is it possible that, yes, they could get Pennywise and reuse this asset that's in the game now? Yes. But I don't think you can make any argument that when this sewer asset was created, that it was with that intention. It just doesn't match in the timeline whatsoever. A mutual friend of mine in Necrocrafts, that we'll call Stabby Myers, sent me this image of the tiled maps from the game files here, where it talks about, see how it has number 6 on all these for Swamp, because the Swamp was the 6th realm that was developed for the game. And it has the map names here of Dead Lake, Grim Gully, Grim Pantry, and Pale Rose. Pretty well corresponds with the things that Matt Walker was talking about here. And the Dead by Daylight wiki acknowledges that the Dead Lake and the Grim Gully are two names of unused, unreleased maps. Will they ever become released? I don't know. And as Stabby Myers was looking into this for me, they came up with this interesting image from Realm number 5. Realm number 5 is Haddonfield, and it's called Suburbs in the files. And we have the Suburban Street, which is Lambkin Lane. And then we have this other one here called Suburban Facility, which I had never heard of before. As far as I know, the wiki doesn't acknowledge the existence of this. So let's just take a moment here. What if the reworking that we're presuming is coming for the Haddonfield maps with Chapter 14 is more than just a Badham Preschool rework where they just change around some of the tiles on the Haddonfield map? What if there's a brand new Haddonfield map coming called the Suburban Facility? Now, what would a suburban facility be? Perhaps a sanitarium? And we know that there's a Halloween collection coming out with new cosmetics here, described as the Halloween collection. Michael Myers escapes the Haddonfield Sanitarium. Embody the legend of Michael Myers in the escaped patient outfit. Is it possible that one of the reworks for the Haddonfield map is going to be a completely new map, like a sanitarium, kind of like a Larry's facility with a Halloween vibe to it? What would that look like? Could that be a thing? All right, take this tinfoil off. So one thing I do want to talk to you about is the Nintendo Switch trailer for Dead by Daylight. I'm watching this trailer for the Nintendo Switch, and it opens up on this artistic rendering of a place that is completely unfamiliar to anyone playing Dead by Daylight. And it just boggles my mind that they would choose to put this illustration into the trailer of a location that none of us can recognize. It doesn't make any sense to me. Wouldn't you want to put like Thompson House or Haddonfield or something that we could all recognize in the trailer as players? But no, they put this brand new location in here, and it just makes me think that it could be a clue to the next map coming or something to do with the next chapter. And so I look at this house and the stonework, and it just doesn't look like anything familiar to me from a licensed horror movie. I went through a bunch of different Stephen King locations to try and see if I could match the house up to anything, with no luck. And today, it just struck me that looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, the only time in my own real life that I wind up seeing a structure like this, a house like this, is when it has been an old schoolhouse. And then the penny dropped for me today that I said, schoolhouse, oh my gosh, because if you haven't seen King's videos where he went to New York Comic Con and met with the Dead by Daylight staff there and did 2 interviews with Mathieu Cote, should definitely watch these. But one of the things that came out of that interview was he asked Mathieu if we would ever see the teacher files used. These go way back to pre-Nurse. They're like the pre-first DLC released for the game. It's 2016. And he said yes, that there's something to do with the teacher files. So that made us wonder, is the teacher coming back? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Maybe they're going to take this dunce cap thing and apply it as part of the punishment to all these ding-dongs who DC. You're going to DC, here you go. Here's your dunce cap. I didn't really think that this meant that they were going to resurrect this idea of the teacher killer, because they released 4 originals in a row, and they had a lot of opportunity to resurrect this idea of the teacher killer, and they didn't. So I didn't think it was happening. But then when I looked at this building and I said schoolhouse, that made me reevaluate that. Is it possible the teacher's coming and this is part of the teacher's map with the schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse? Probably not. But when I look at this building, it reminds me of stone schoolhouses. If you Google stone schoolhouses on the internet, you get all of these images of places that look very similar to this. Does that mean something? I don't know. I'll let you decide. And then finally, we had this tweet from Yanma that says here, so me and Cozy Chicken discovered that store cube in the game files of DBD. The model has its own textures and animations, so I decided to make a quick render of it. What could it be? So when I first saw this, I immediately thought that this was a puzzle box from Hellraiser, but now I don't know. And why would it be called store cube? But I'm going to go ahead and show you that here right now. So here we go by Yanma. Store cube. The way it was moving, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally going to be the puzzle cube for Hellraiser, but it doesn't make sense. It's called store cube. Open. Some people have said, oh, that's probably loot boxes, but the devs have said, don't worry, it's not loot boxes. I thought maybe it was going to be a thing like if you reach the end of the Oris web in the archives, that's how you're going to like unlock the cinematic or the memory, the page of tome from the archives. I think that's probably most likely what it is, but it's definitely interesting to look at anyway. So now that we've taken a look at this balloon asset and this sewer asset, and I think I've shown that they can't effectively be connected to Pennywise in any way, at least when they were initially put into the game of Dead by Daylight. What evidence do we actually have about Pennywise coming to the game other than the fact that some people who work for Dead by Daylight followed Stephen King on purpose, orchestrated follows so that we would notice? What does my gut say? Something really feels weird and off about this one. Doesn't feel like the other ones that we sniffed out. I feel like it's a misdirection. I certainly hope that Pennywise is coming because it would be a cool character. I think if you go down this road, though, where you're putting out these red herrings to try and misdirect people, I think you have to have something equally as extraordinary waiting in the wings so that it isn't a letdown, if you know what I mean. If they go, oh, it's the teacher. I was hoping it was going to be Pennywise, but we got the teacher. Yay! You know what I mean? I think it just has to be something that's really going to knock your socks off of equal or greater importance. I don't know what's going to happen. I really have no idea, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I want to wake up on PTB day just as stunned as everybody else who has no clue what's going on and just go, oh, it's so-and-so. And that's what I'm hoping happens. And I think if it is Pennywise, I'll still get that because I really don't have any idea. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for taking this trip with me through our Tinfoil Hat group to analyze some of this stuff that you may have seen circulating on the internet and break it down, try and figure out what's going on. And I don't know if we got any closer, but hey, the good news is we only have about 4 weeks to wait before we'll see that PTB for the next chapter, which is super exciting. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of each other out in the fog, unless you're Candyman, and tell the survivors to be your victim. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.